On DC Music Rocks, we're shining a spotlight on the great songs, artists, and incredible people behind the DC region's music scene. Bruno Nasta graduated from James Madison University with a music performance degree. He was a member of Richmond Symphony Orchestra and the Richmond Chamber Players in residence at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. He's a featured soloist on Ava Cassidy's multi-platinum selling recordings Imagine and American Tune. And currently, Bruno maintains a vigorous freelancing schedule and is active in the recording, opera, and theater circuits of the greater Washington, D.C. and Baltimore areas. And in the spring of 2008, he was appointed the program director, or program coordinator, for the Friday evening Jazz in the Garden concert series at the National Gallery of Art in D.C., right next to the National Archives. I first met Bruno finally because we played, Tony Craddock Jr. is an awesome jazz artist I played on the show, and I went to see him at Jazz in the Garden, and that was when I finally got to meet Bruno, and I was like, God, Bruno, you got to come on the show to talk to people about this. So I've been such a fan of Jazz in the Gardens ever since I moved here in 2010. And so, first of all, thank you for what you do, and second, thanks for being here today.
You're welcome. Cool. You're welcome. It's delightful being here.
Now, one quick thing, just kind of a recap quickly. What is your role with Jazz in the Garden specifically? Talk about that.
Well, as a program coordinator, I source the bands, I hire them, and contract them. And I also help the event coordinate between the food service, the music, and the security. And also the facilities management people who deliver all the goods and services so that we can put a show on every Friday. You have to realize that these people work really hard because we construct the set for the Friday afternoon shows starting at like 6 a.m. and then we take it apart at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning so that you can enjoy the fountain, the artwork, and the beautiful landscaping and the sculpture garden. And this event has been going on since the year 2000, so we're in our 18th season.
18 years?
18
That's
years.
Amazing. What a cool DC thing.
It started out as just some local bands, maybe 500 people would show up, and now we're up to an average of 14,500 on any given Friday during that 4-hour period.
That's amazing. And now you've been involved since 2008.
Right.
And how's it changed since you've been involved?
Well, mostly in the attendance numbers. I really take a good look at my demographic. I take a walk around the garden and see who's there, and we have all ages, all ethnicities, all cultures, and I try to find bands that will strike a nerve and really entertain all of these people. And also, I want to really showcase the craftsmanship and the artistry of these bands, whether they come from Norway or whether they come from Los Angeles or whether they're just local guys who just travel up and down the East Coast. There are some fabulous musicians here in the D.C. area. And also the military bands. We have military bands that show up with their 20-piece large big band jazz bands, and like the Airmen of Note and the Army Blues, and then we also have the Coast Guard band up in West Point, New York, who comes down and plays with us. And
wow.
These are just top-notch talent, superb craftsmen, great arrangements, and it's all for a good time. The food is absolutely delicious and gourmet, not too expensive either.
Yeah.
There's wonderful sangria and beer to enjoy in the garden.
Yep.
We ask that you please enjoy responsibly, of course. And then
public service announcement. If you didn't know, Bruno says be responsible. However, come have some fun.
Yes. Yeah, but you know, there are kids in the garden. It's a family-friendly atmosphere. We want to put on our best suits for the tourists who come and visit us here in D.C.
This is true. You know, Bruno,
Yeah.
I have a funny story about that too, because I went to see Tony Craddock Jr. when he was performed at the Jazz in the Garden event, and that's where I met you. But I also, that night, I was sitting next to this couple sprawled out on a blanket, and they were from Minneapolis, and they had just come down. It was their 20th wedding anniversary, and that was how they were starting their anniversary night, was to come do Jazz in the Garden. And so it's like a little romantic thing for them. They're sprawled out picnicking together. Like it was kind of adorable. But I love that vibe, that it's family friendly, it's couples, it's kids, it's teenagers, and all ages hanging out together and all enjoying that music. It's
and
awesome.
It's also social clubs and ethnic clubs that come and congregate, and that's where they start their evening, right after work, and they get themselves some delicious food. They get to enjoy all of the art in the garden, which is priceless. These are major works of art that are presented in that garden. And then you have the music, and that's just one place you can go and enjoy the moonlight later on with your friends as you carry on your evening.
Wow, that is really cool. Now, you talked about the bands being from all over the place. How do you find the bands?
I will make a menu, just like you would plan a dinner evening.
Okay.
A dinner party. And
this suddenly became a party. I like it. Tell me more.
Yeah, well,
this is good.
What I do is I make a menu, and one year it might be all women in jazz. And another year it might be drummers. And I will feature the trumpet and the guitar and, maybe some really ethno-eclecticism in music. Each year has a different so-called theme, and I work within that, and I get on the internet, of course. Thank you, Mr. Google. And I find something that is just going to appeal to the many.
Yeah, my goodness. And now if folks are interested in sending, if they think they would be a good match for Jazz in the Gardens, how do they send that info to you?
That's easy. You just simply send your electronic press kit, otherwise known as an EPK. You send that to me at B, like Bruno, dash, and that's not an underscore, it's a dash, Nasta, Nasta, at nga.gov. That's b-nasta at nga.gov.
There you go. Send them there. That's amazing. And now, have you already decided what the menu is going to look like for 2019?
2019 is shaping up. I just went up to Music Fest in Bethlehem, PA, and kind of shopped around for bands. And I was also playing there. I was playing with a great band from LA, which I feature almost every year. It's called Incendio. They're from Los Angeles, California, and I get to gig out with them. But I saw this band called Bombay Ricky, which is a very interesting band. It's a stew. Throw in some opera.
Okay.
Throw in some Indian raga music, and also put out some crazy rock and roll and jazz, and they are superb craftsmen.
Wow.
They're from Brooklyn, New York. Another band that I saw in that really lit me up. In fact, one of their songs I just have as an earworm constantly every time I wake up in the morning. And that's the band The Futurists. Guys, look up The Futurists. They're from Brooklyn, New York also. And it's an alternative rock kind of thing, but it is quite clever. I mean, they actually modulate when they change keys during a song. I mean, that's kind of unheard of in the alternative.
For those folks who don't know what modulate means, what do you mean when you say that?
Modulation is changing a key signature within your composition.
Oh, so it's a key change.
It's a key change, yeah.
Wow.
So I just find that their arrangements are beautiful. They have these great tunes called, one of them is called Double Knot, and the other one is called Anti-Hero. And just give it a listen, man. Hopefully it'll light your socks on fire.
I hope it does light your socks on fire. Literally, a fire extinguisher for this stuff. It's so good. Now, Bruno, talk about you on the personal side. So outside of music and NGA, what do you do on the personal? Do you have hobbies outside of this stuff too?
My hobby is my profession, or my profession is my hobby. I love what I do. I started out as a professional violinist playing in symphony orchestras, theater, opera. And then I ventured in college into the jazz idiom, and that just lit me afire. And I just kind of combined the two. And actually, the two skills that I acquired, I knew that just like any business portfolio, a big diversity of skills really is going to get you working all the time. And, I have a family to support and mortgages to pay for, so I wanted the American dream just as anybody else wanted. So I got out there and acquired the skills to make a living, and that it also includes teaching private lessons and also performing either under my own name or as a sideman with others.
Wow, that's good gracious. And so then, do you find time for relaxation or R&R, or what's it look like when you're not working?
My relaxation is when I just put my violin under my chin, lay my head down on it, and just start singing it, man.
Wow. And what do you play if it's up to you? If you're R and you don't have anything you're rehearsing for or practicing for, and you're just gonna play, what would you play?
I like to take jazz standards and make violin cadenzas out of them. A cadenza is where a soloist features his own composition within, like a concerto or some classical work. Wow. And so I've acquired lots of techniques, so I try to use it all to the best advantage to really bring out the music.
That's awesome. Good gracious. And now my favorite question to ask that I always do is, if you could offer one piece of advice, what would it be?
Guys, never give up. I've faced lots of rejection in auditions and in scenarios that maybe I just didn't fit into. You know, the people on the other side listening to you have a certain something that they have preconceived. And if you don't fit into that, that's okay. Just go out there and do what your heart tells you to do. Do what you feel is intuitive to you, and you will shine. Someone's going to pick up on it, and it might be an audience member, it might be a producer, but just don't stop. Keep trying.
What's the magical moment that comes to mind in your personal history that comes to mind? Is there something that you didn't quit trying and then there was a big success? What comes to mind?
Well, what told me I should be a musician is that, you know, I was playing sports as a young person. I was trying to fit in with it like everyone else, but music was my outlet. Music was my comfort food, so to speak. And so I kept getting accepted by educators, teachers, audition conferences, and you know, the people who are listening to you and trying to decide whether you should be a part of their band or their orchestra, and so there was an acceptance there. Yeah. And so, but I wanted to be accepted on a much larger I don't know what the word I'm looking
scene
for.
Or audience,
yeah, a much larger scene,
and scale. Yep.
Yeah, and so you know, when I heard there was an opening to manage Jazz in the Garden, I was like, I can do this job, and so I went and I presented myself, and I was relentless. The person who was in charge of hiring just didn't get it, but I just kept at it, and I did not give up, and he gave me a chance, and it's all history from there.
And let me just say on behalf of everybody, thank you for doing what you do, because Jazz in the Garden is just a magical thing that happens in D.C., and it's really cool to meet that man who's kind of behind it that puts it together. So this is a treat for me, and it's wonderful what you do. Now, one more time for those folks who want to find out more about, if they want to follow Jazz in the Garden or really be up to date on what's happening with where's the best place for them to go to find that info?
Well, the best information about Jazz in the Garden is the National Gallery's website, and that's www.nga.gov. Now, you'll have to sort through these pull-down menus, but eventually you'll get to calendar and pull down, and you'll see concerts, and then you'll see another pull-down menu of jazz concerts. Now, we won't publicize the 2019 concerts till probably next March or April.
Okay.
So you're just going to have to be patient until then.
Nice. And is there one place they can go to really see all the, like, you announce the shows each week, or they just want to be up to date on the things that are happening this week? Where is that posted somewhere? Social media or something?
Well, I'm sure the NGA has a Twitter account, and of course they are on Facebook. So it's nga.gov.
There it is, nga.gov. Go check it out.